How your baby actually behaves inside the womb. Most parents imagine their baby in the womb as a tiny sleeping passenger, curled up, peaceful, waiting quietly to be born. The truth is nothing like that. Right now, if you're pregnant or picturing someone who is, that baby is listening, tasting, stretching, dreaming, and quietly learning things that will shape how they respond to the world on their very first day of life. And what researchers have uncovered in the last 20 years about fetal behavior will change the way you look at that pregnancy bump forever. For most of human history, we assumed the womb was a kind of waiting room, a place where a baby simply grew bigger until they were ready to show up. That idea has been quietly dismantled by decades of research, much of it led by Dr. Janet DiPietro at Johns Hopkins University. Her fetal neurobehavior studies tracked fetuses across the second half of pregnancy and compared their behavior to who they became as newborns and infants. Her conclusion was simple and completely revolutionary. Behavior doesn't begin at birth, it begins months earlier, and the patterns you see in the womb actually predict the baby who arrives. So what is your baby actually doing in there? Researchers have now mapped out specific behaviors, and every single one of them is happening inside your body right now. 1. They never really stop moving. The kicks you feel are just the highlights. As early as 9 weeks, your baby is already stretching, turning, and making tiny motions you can't detect yet. By the second trimester, they can somersault, bring a hand to their face, and shift position dozens of times a day. Ultrasound footage has captured fetuses yawning, rubbing their own cheeks, even making the same leg movements they'll later use to crawl, months before they're born. You only ever feel a small fraction of what's actually going on. Your baby is busier in there than you'd ever guess. 2. They already recognize your voice. Researcher Barbara Kieselewski at Queen's University played a recording of a mother reading aloud to her own fetus and a stranger's voice reading the exact same words to a group of fetuses in their third trimester. The reaction split cleanly in two. Hearing their own mother's voice, the baby's heart rate sped up. Hearing a stranger, their heart rate slowed down. Two completely different responses, which means the baby could already tell the difference. Your voice, heard muffled through your body for months, becomes the most familiar sound in their entire world before they've ever opened their eyes. 3. They're already tasting what you eat. By around 20 weeks, a baby's taste buds are fully formed, and every flavor you eat travels through your bloodstream into the amniotic fluid they swallow. In one well-known study, mothers who regularly ate carrots during pregnancy had babies who, months later, at their first taste of solid food, showed a clear preference for carrots over babies whose mothers hadn't eaten them. Your baby is quietly building a memory of flavor before they've ever had a single bottle. 4. They already have a sleep rhythm. By the third trimester, a fetus spends roughly 95% of their time asleep, but not as one long stretch. They cycle through distinct states: deep, quiet sleep, active sleep full of rapid eye movement and small bursts of motion, and brief windows where they're genuinely awake and responsive. And this is where Dr. DiPietro's research gets almost eerie in its accuracy. Fetuses with irregular, chaotic sleep-wake patterns in the womb tend to become newborns who sleep poorly. Fetuses with highly active movement patterns tend to become more easily unsettled infants. In a real sense, your baby's temperament starts drafting itself before their first breath. 5. They feel what you feel. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol and adrenaline, and those chemicals cross the placenta within minutes. Your baby doesn't understand what's upsetting you, but their nervous system picks up the biological echo of it. Researchers have recorded measurable shifts in fetal heart rate and movement tied directly to a mother's emotional state. The reverse is just as true. When you're calm, laughing, relaxed, your baby receives that too. This isn't a reason to panic about the occasional stressful day. That's completely normal and won't harm your baby. It's simply a reminder that long before birth, the two of you are already having a kind of ongoing emotional conversation. 6. They're already rehearsing for birth. Those rhythmic little flutters you sometimes feel aren't random. They're usually hiccups, and fetal hiccups are your baby's diaphragm practicing the exact breathing motion they'll need the second they arrive. Pediatricians generally read this as a sign the nervous system is maturing right on schedule. At the same time, your baby is practicing sucking, thumb to mouth, hand to lips, rehearsing the reflex that will let them feed within minutes of being born. They're practicing swallowing, practicing blinking. Researchers at Lancaster University even found that third trimester fetuses will turn their heads to follow face-like patterns of light projected through the uterine wall, meaning they already show a preference for human faces before they've ever seen one. Every small rehearsal happening inside you right now is preparation for a world they've only ever heard as muffled echoes. Put all of this together, and your baby isn't waiting to start their life. They're already living it. They have a personality taking shape, taste preferences already forming, a voice they know and trust before they've ever seen a face, a sleep rhythm that will carry straight into their first weeks at home, and a running emotional connection to you that's been active for months before you ever hold them. That changes something about how a lot of parents feel in those final weeks of pregnancy. The relationship hasn't started. The relationship is already deep. You've been singing to them, eating with them, talking near them, responding to their kicks. By the time you finally meet face to face, you're not strangers. You're old friends, finally getting to see each other. So the next time you feel a small flutter from inside your body, take a second to sit with it. That's not just a baby growing. That's a tiny person tasting your dinner, listening to your voice, sleeping and waking in a rhythm they'll bring into the world, learning what your emotions feel like, and quietly getting ready to meet you. You've been their whole world this entire time, and they've been paying attention. If this changed the way you see pregnancy or the babies in your life, consider subscribing. We post new videos every week on the hidden science of babies and young children. And if you found this useful, a quick like genuinely helps other parents find the channel. We'll see you in the next one.